Hi, everybody. My name is Michelle. Uh, Welcome. This is my first YouTube channel, and I just wanted to, you know, thank you all for, you know, having a chance and opportunities. Yes, right now it's cold up here in Canada, and I just want to share to you about how your life, how you want to start, and how you want to move yourself in life. Sometimes in life, we need to know and understand to separate ourselves away from some things and people in our lives that might not be your best interest and best heart at times. Yeah, I understand there are some people who are my role models on YouTube and everything. Like, for example, when I'm at home, we got four people living with us right now, but there's two people that, I don't mind, but sometimes in my life there's noise and distractions. But as it says, we need to be, we need to sometimes discover and learn what's God's best purpose and will for his life. As I can see here, I've been being as a Christian or disciple for a long time, witnessing and discovering things good and bad. My finances goes up and down, losing my job at last year, and my fellow colleagues, they too lost their jobs due to that. There are many people out there who are suffering and struggling financially, emotionally, mentally, personally, and things. But I believe God could work for yours and work for mine, and sometimes we have to discover God's potential best for each and every one of us. Maybe you're not a Christian. Maybe you're not. Maybe you're spiritual. Maybe you're not all. We don't always have to be religious. No matter how little or a lot we know of the Bible, and how much we little pray for God. But yes, I discovered and know I'm just right now working and practicing, to get out of the house. My sister's man's in the house. I do forgive him and I do love him as like a brother-in-law to me. But sometimes he could disturb and get in my way of my personal boundaries and space. And 2 days ago, he doesn't really understand. He's Turkish, and his communication, his how he how he communicates with people is not necessarily good. He almost caused me to starve and try to talk me out of things. And I asked myself, I understand my desire for them is to get themselves settled and get their own place, because you know what's happening. They're sleeping in a car. They don't have much money right now, and at times, it personally, my space and boundaries, I had to work on so hard and ask God to work on these areas, even my finances. And their drinking sometimes get carried away, and their man drinks a lot of wine, and sometimes he doesn't seem to get and understand. I say, yes, you have to work on your limits. You gotta say no sometimes, my friend. You don't have the money to have these things, and you have to learn to control yourself. But guys, sometimes we need to be very wise and be very careful and learn to set boundaries and learn to say no. Sometimes if you have someone hindering, preventing, stopping God's best purpose and will for your life, or perhaps you're not, you don't have to be religious, but sometimes you're aware about your relationships. It could be your coworkers, it could be your friends, it could be your family. Sometimes they might hinder, prevent, and stop you for anything. They could convince you, they could cause you to lure you away for your potentials and best. Sometimes they ask you what you're doing, and at times when you have your personal things you have to do, they interview and get personally in your personal space, and they don't need to know everything. It's just like how two people had two joint accounts, and what happens if one of them end up taking your money? And you do, but sometimes it's good to have separate accounts. This is why you need to have separate space for yourself or the individual that you may know. Sometimes there are some people who are toxic in your life. I know there's some people who are toxic in my life. I know there's some people I have to eliminate and have lots of boundaries and lots of things. Because number one, there's a lot of people these days, guys, who are, for example, they claim to be your friend. They claim to be in your circle of friends. But do you know that people are not reaching out to you? They're not phoning you. They're not contacting you. And they need something from you. But what happened is when they need something from you, but they never respect to bless to give back to you. That's what you have to sometimes watch out for toxic people who wrong, taking advantage over you, don't respect your decisions and choices. They claim to be your friend, but they may be smiling and stuff like that. But you know what? But deep down, you know, if there's something that's bothering them and causing them to struggle, they might not say nothing. They may just one day need you and one day walk back, and whenever you need them the most, they're like ghosts, they disappear. Sometimes you gotta keep things personally to yourself. It's always good to know who are your true chosen friends in your life. You know who are the real people for your life. Sometimes it's good to be ghosts and be alone at times. And put God first before anyone. Or have the right relationships, but very few are chosen for your life. I'm not perfect in all my conversations. I know I'm not perfect with my words. I know I'm not perfect in my finances. I know there's a lot of things I have to change and work with in life. Just maybe you want to work and change things in your life. We don't know the day and hour when Jesus will come back. We don't know when this Antichrist or when new government will come. You know, Donald Trump wants to buy out Greenland. And he wants us to be, the Canadians, to be the 51st state. And, you know, in the United States, Trump wants to make America great to force Christianity into America, and he might do it with us. And then Trump, why you want me to be American? Why would you want to force the one world religion upon us? You can't force religion or Christianity or people who are living in the States. I understand that you want to give us the best deal, the best vet, but you know what? You, like our premium, are not the best people to have in our lives. But I put God first before these two. They're not making America and Canada great or better. They're making things worse. Look at Canadians are experiencing the taste of suffering. Look at Americans. A lot of homelessness. A lot of people lost their jobs. A lot of people don't have a lot of money to set aside. And you see the debts are on the rise. And a lot of things. But you know what, guys? It's just like how I can feel that the people are living on the streets. Or don't have heats in their homes when the weather is cold. Not a lot of people have a lot of things. And sometimes people don't have a lot of relationships to count on. We need to go back to our old-fashioned ways, guys. We you know what? We take things for granted, and we're not aware about that. And the consequences, whatever it may be, in your life and my life too. Look, but you know what? In my heart, I'm facing the freezing cold right now. Nice sweater, but very cold. I'm taking this challenge to, first of all, go for a walk and just get out of the house. I'm learning about YouTube. I have no money to help someone to help me to be a YouTube premium because it costs money to have someone to build up something for me. I had to discover things for myself. Sometimes you got to discover things for yourself too. You may have to separate yourself away from some relationships or set aside of what you want to do for your life. And sometimes we had to go back to some old-fashioned ways, like how our parents, grandparents, and beyond, how they survived everything. Natural food, plant our own stuff, neighbor to neighbor. Our doors were always open, never locked. We never had some wrong people living with us at the time. And you know what? We're coming to a time that we're losing sight of ourselves, our relationships, our finances, and everything. But guys, let's say we need to stand strong and courageous. If you're Americans, I stand for you. Canadians are also feeling the pinch of pressure about these situations too as well. So anyways, peace, God bless you, and have a good day. If you like this one, give me a like and add a comment below and subscribe. And have any questions and comments about this, let me know. You have a good day. Okay? Peace.